2019 Pirelli National Superstock 1000 Championship in association with Black Horse. The weather clearing once again here in Lincolnshire above the glorious setting of Cadwell Park, with Darren McKenzie having reduced Richard Cooper's lead in the championship to a mere 30.5 points after his dramatic victory last time out at Thruxton, when Richard could only manage 4th place, his first time off the rostrum. Taylor McKenzie then in 2nd place, just as his dear father arrives alongside me in the commentary booth. Lee Jackson, the outright lap record holder here at Cadwell Park, is in 3rd place in the championship ahead of Alex Olsen, who's parted company with IMR Racing, with a possibility of taking up the 2nd Smith's BMW in Superbike. Lewis Rollo on his Aprilia is 5th. Tom Neve, who's qualified really well on his local track and Honda's local track, is 6th overall, 2 points back. Starting grid has Richard Cooper on pole position for build-based Suzuki, ahead of Taylor McKenzie on the Batham's BMW and Andy Reid's Tyco BMW. There's Tom Neve, the local farmer, in 4th place, being back home to do the harvesting tonight. 4th place overall ahead of Chrissy Rouse's Kawasaki and Lee Jackson on the FS3 Racing Kawasaki. 3rd row headed by Luke Hedger from Lewis Rollo on the leading IN Aprilia, and Tom Ward. Good qualification there for Tom Ward from down in Kent. Emily Lahti from Finland is in 10th place for the WD-40 Stav Connect Academy squad, ahead of Tim Neve on the 2nd Morello Racing Kawasaki, and Ashley Beach, number 48, riding for NP Motorcycles on his BMW, the lad from Oldham. And altogether 36 riders then on a packed grid here for 15 laps. And there is this guy looked so quick. He wasn't taking off at all coming over the mountain during qualifying, but he was so zippy going through into Hall Bends, Neil.
Yeah, he's only little but very nimble on that Suzuki. He works really well. Richard Cooper, yeah, amazing all-round rider, and for a little rider excels on the bigger bikes. So we're ready to go then with this the Superstock 1000 Championship race. Good start, determined start from Taylor McKenzie. Can he get that inside line? Looks like Cooper might get the swoop round the outside in the coppice, which he does. Andy Reid tries to join in the fun as well. The two BMWs nose to tail. The Honda, distinctive in red, white and blue, is there in 4th place. Yeah, Cooper and Taylor McKenzie getting off the line pretty much simultaneously, with Cooper just having that pole position advantage. And yeah, these two battling things out for the championship. Andy Reid's been coming strong this year on the newer BMW, on the Tyco bike. That's the 2019 model, whereas Taylor is on the older bike.
Yeah, it's 2016, isn't it, yes. The Batham's BMW?
Well, that was the last time the spec changed slightly. Obviously, the Batham's BMW is everything is as new. It's totally refreshed every weekend. But yeah, it's still a competitive package.
And I must admit, the noise of the motorcycles coming during warm-up coming over the mountain this morning, when I went out to check what was going on with the sky-flying Graham Irwin on the recommendation of his brother Glenn. The most impressive sound was that Tyco BMW, Neil. It's got a really raunchy note.
Well, that's it. Really advanced electronics on the new BM. It really is a special machine. There's so much potential that bike. It's lighter, it's faster. The electronics are by far the best of the stock 1000 class now, so it really has some potential to be a lot more of these bikes out here next year.
Impressive to see number 69.
Yes, local man, local farmer.
No, sorry, that's number 68 is in 4th place, but I was thinking 69, Chrissy Rouse, who crashed nastily into Hall Bends just 12 months ago when he was racing in Superbike, swooping through Hall Bends as if he's perfectly happy with it now. Richard Cooper leads the way, Taylor McKenzie 2nd, Andy Reid, the Belfast boy there, shadowing McKenzie as they come onto the park straight and moving to the right-hand side to see if he can put the brakes on and just edge him out in, but Taylor very, very strong on the brakes.
Yeah, I know Taylor made a slight change to the front end of his bike this morning, and specifically to help it on the brakes. Andy Reid's bike there, you can see maybe a little bit more horsepower. Taylor a little bit wide around there. Chrissy's, but that Tyco BMW, yeah, as I said, potentially it's got more power, handles better, and electronics are good. But Taylor just trying to get everything he can out of that earlier model.
Richard Cooper leading the way then in the championship as well as in the race, and Andy Reid looking eager, threatening, yes, but the main strength surely to pull an overtake around here is on the brakes now.
Yeah, well, you need to get a drive off the corners, start finish straight out of barn or Charlie's 2 onto the back straight, and then try and set up your braking manoeuvre. But it's not easy to pass 2/3 sort of distance you've got to follow there.
Oh,
Tom Ward after qualifying so well.
Yeah. Oh, no wonder he looks frustrated with himself. That's a big mistake again from the tall lad from Canterbury on the Bradbury Racing, powered by Robinson's Suzuki. So on the second lap of into the third lap of 12 then, and the breakaway group of 5 with Chrissy Rouse just about hanging on to it, set the fastest lap of the race on that lap. 1:29 dead on the Morello Racing Kawasaki, that green and yellow bike, the green and white bike running in 5th place. Behind him, Lee Jackson moves past Lewis Rollo, so the outright lap record holder here at Cadwell Park has now given himself a bit of work to do, but I think he'll progress from there.
That's right, yeah, Lee Jackson normally in the bunch for the lead or for podium, but normally good at Cadwell Park, but it seems they've been struggling on the FS3 Kawasaki this weekend, not quite at the sharp end and through all of the practices. But yeah, Chrissy Rouse looking out there as they head into the gooseneck. Chrissy Rouse fastest lap, 1:29.052, and that compares with the lap record, which is 1:28.203, and that went to Danny Buckingham.
Yeah. Bit snaky. I think this might be a fast lap from Lee Jackson. He's closed right up on the back of the pink helmet at Chrissy Rouse now.
Yeah, well, they never stop working on that bike, even in the morning warm-up, so I'm sure they've perfected it for the race.
Everybody, the point scorers at the moment behind the leading bunch. Emily Latte in 9th, and then Levi Day, Luke Hedger, Graham Irwin having a strong ride in 12th place, the raw rookie in this class, and indeed into road racing at all. So the middle Irwin brother in 12th ahead of Ben Godfrey, who's on crutches, having bust both his ankles at Thruxton 2 weeks ago, and is determinedly riding out there for the Jones Dorling team. Amazingly in 13th place ahead of Ashley Beach and Joe Collier. Andy Reid. Well, that BMW you thought was threatening, but unfortunately, I hope he hasn't hurt himself. That looked like a big spill for the Belfast lad.
Looks like Copper's turn 1 there. Yeah, so Coop's still leading. There's been a gap of here. That is Tom Neve in 3rd position now on the Honda. Andy Reid actually did a really fast lap there, 1:28.7. But
yes, he's hurt himself.
Looks like his ankle's hurting there. So this is turn 1. Copper's ultra fast. Andy Reid just turned in. Front end of the bike, the front tyre just didn't want to grip and sort of folded quite early on, so maybe just pushing a little bit too hard too early. Looks like he's in a bit of pain there.
And Andy, he does tend to break something when he falls. That's what I fear.
He does, and he's always spectacular when he falls.
And this is the battle now on then between for the championship as well as for the race here, as that beautiful black and gold red line, number 77, tries to hang on. Well, certainly does hang on and begins to close the gap on Richard Cooper. Very, very determined body language from Taylor Mackenzie.
Yeah, Coop's quite diminutive and doesn't really move around a lot on the bike, but he certainly gets the job done. It'll be interesting to see the laps on this lap times this time round. Last time was 28.7 for Coops, this time 28.8 and 28.9. Yellow flag at turn 1.
28.7, fastest lap of the race for Tom Neve in 3rd place.
Well, that's a good lap. That's a good lap from Tom Neve on the Honda.
So he really opened up a gap on the battle behind between Lee Jackson and Chrissy Rouse and Lee Jackson, running in 4th and 5th place as they streak out into the countryside. This extra land that was to lengthen, that was it opened back in the 1961, believe it or not, by Tony Brooks, Formula 1 driver in a Testarossa Ferrari when he was a Ferrari Works driver. That must have been quite a beast to drive around here. We're on the 5th lap of 12 here in the National Superstock 1000 Championship, and this is the three-way battle at the front. We haven't seen much of Tom Neve. He lies 6th in the championship, and he's not had a ride like this so far on the Honda, but here he is on his home track, just a few miles up the road from Louth, where Honda UK are based, and suddenly he's right there with the 2 championship leaders.
He certainly is. He's been making steady progress on the Honda all year. Of course, he got that opportunity last year with the Honda UK team on the Superbike. It wasn't ideal, he had a few crashes, but they could see the potential, so kept them on this year. on stock 1,000 duties. He's a flat tracker, and he was backing it in a little bit there, cost him a bit of time into barn, and he knows it.
So as they complete the 5th lap of 12, yellow flag out at Coppice, because there's the remains of Andy Reid's Tyco BMW, really not looking very healthy at all. That bike certainly cartwheeled itself to destruction. So Cooper, Mackenzie, Neve then, half a second between the three of them as they streak out into the countryside. Oh, and down has gone. Is that Lee Jackson?
Yes.
Jackson,
yes.
The local boy, the Lincoln plumber, the outright lap record holder. Can't believe what he's done. He was right behind Chrissy Rouse, had been hounding the Morello Racing Kawasaki, and he's dropped it big time. So there is a now lonely 4th place Chrissy Rouse as an deflated Lee Jackson wheels off his bent motorcycle.
We got a safety car out, and I think that is to recover Andy Reid's Tyco BMW, because it's a precarious position on the track.
So this is the 6th lap of 12 then. We're on the half-distance lap as a disenchanted Lee Jackson troops off into the countryside. And that BMW looks like it's going to remain there pretty much for the rest of the race. So the lads have just got to be a little careful as they tread through Coppice with that waving the yellow flag.
I think that's the idea, the safety car. I think they will go and collect that bike, because it is just in a bad position. If someone happens to run wide there as they come round Coppice, they would hit that bike.
Well, this is good news for the guys immediately behind Richard Cooper. So Mackenzie, Neve and Rouse will close right up behind the safety car, and then we'll have a short dash for the checkered flag, Neil. Anyone could win this.
That's right. And that bike, that's a 30 grand bike there, looking very second hand. Jackson just trying to get a run on it, Chrissy Rouse, and just run off the track. He was a bit blinded by trying to get a slipstream, trying to get onto the back of Chrissy Rouse, and obviously misjudged things and ran right on the grass.
For these guys, that was quite a major misjudgment, Neil. He took about a foot of grass then, didn't he?
Certainly is. Lee's a lot of laps around here, and he knows every millimetre of this track, and this is Coppice. Andy Reid just folded in the front there. Over 100 mile an hour that, and that bike just gaining a bit of momentum, and the suspension bouncing it all over the place, and that bike is completely written off.
Wow.
That won't T-cut out, Jack, that's for sure.
And it was difficult to see, watching that again, where Andy damaged his ankle. I couldn't see how he, bouncing along that comfortable grass didn't look too bad, but I suppose high speed.
Yes. So the guys have to be careful now. They're cruising round at a very slow pace, and the tyres will lose a little bit of temperature.
About halfway round their 7th lap out of 12 then. So the National Superstock 1000 Championship boys are going to have a real genuine sprint race on their hands here around the sinuous circuit of Cadwell Park in the Lincolnshire Wolds, and they're all now shunting up behind. Larty there in 7th place, number 22. Hedger, number 12 in 8th. Levi Day in 9th. Graham Irwin, for the first time, into the top 10. Irwin's been getting some colossal airtime over the mountain top, but whether or not he'll be able to do that in heavy traffic like this, who knows?
Yeah, Lewis Rollo gesticulating to his pit crew. He's waving his left arm around a lot like there was some problem with the bike. So yeah, Lewis, we've been used to seeing him right at the front, but he's doing all right in 5th position, fastest lap so far, 1:30, so not too bad. But Lewis obviously having some issues with his Aprilia.
He does look frustrated, nodding his head and shaking his head, isn't he? He's been quite impressive over the mountain, Neil, getting a decent amount of airtime, but just but good drive as well with that lovely bellowing Aprilia.
Well, yeah, I tell you, there's no lack of bravery when it comes to Lewis Rollo. He is a brave man.
The 8th lap of 12 then, with the battle on at the front. Cooper, Mackenzie, Tom Neve, who is of course a relative rookie in tarmac terms, has done all the sand racing, the indoor flat track, and British national junior flat track champion and all that stuff. but a relative novice on tarmac, so an impressive ride here. But he's got Chrissy Rouse right behind him, Lewis Rollo, Tim Neve, his twin brother of course, is there in 6th place on the second Morello Racing Kawasaki. So this is going to be a pretty tight contest when they're unleashed.
Yeah, and it's Richard Cooper's privilege to back these guys up. He can do what he wants here and go when he pleases. The safety car's well out of sight now, so he's going to make his move at some point, but I know Taylor will be trying to keep himself bolted onto his rear wheel.
How hard is it to ride these bikes so slowly?
Coop's going now. He has to go
Coops
now.
has gone.
Yeah.
He's suddenly erupted out of the hairpin, but he's got a huge queue of riders behind him as he streaks out of Barn Corner, and Taylor's done a pretty good job of hanging in there with him.
Not bad.
In fact, it's Rollo who's lost a bit of ground. The front 4 then streak away. There's Tim Neve in 6th place. Larty in 7th, Hedger, Day, Graham Irwin. That's your top 10.
And Chrissy Rouse certainly a lot closer to Tom Neve than he was when the safety car came out. What these guys have to be careful now is just cool tyres, as I mentioned earlier, especially on the left-hand side.
And straight away, Chrissy Rouse
makes his move.
Big, harsh move on the brakes, but he can't stop it. And that is the move that Tom Neve was looking for, just cut back. A very, very clear-headed move by the Lincolnshire farmer, and he gets that 3rd place back straight away.
And he knows he's got company. Chrissy Rouse thinking about around the outside of the gooseneck, not this time.
Chrissy Rouse, maths teacher back at the school at which he was educated after having done his degree at the University of Newcastle, running here in 4th place. That gap behind him to Lewis Rollo versus Tim Neve. And the rest actually, Larty, Hedger, Day, Irwin, they're all tucked in there, but this is the big one at the front for the championship. Now, in the Superstock 600 race, Keelan Irwin said that Gino Rea had told him to leave his move as late as possible. Really? What would your advice be to your firstborn, Neil?
Keep in touch with Coops, because Coops is a smart cookie. He's won a lot of races, he's won championships, he knows his job, he's good at Cadwell Park, so he just needs to keep as close as he possibly can to Coops. And then lost a little bit of time there out of Barn, so he needs to dig in and try and close that gap.
Richard Cooper, of course, was a winner here, was it really that long ago? Back in 2011, when he was the National 1000 Superstock champion. He was victorious here at Cadwell Park, and look at that gap he's pulled as they go out into the country. It's Tom Neve who momentarily got close to the BMW, but just seemed to lose a bit of drive as they went out onto the Park Straight. And a big move coming up behind. Emily Larty for the Stouth Connect Academy goes through inside Lewis Rollo. Oh, big mistake behind him. I think that was Tim Neve, was it?
No, Tim Neve's is the white leather's a bit further forward there, but yeah, might have been Luke Hedger, was it?
Yes, could have been.
Luke Hedger, yeah, I think he is just behind Tim Neve.
So Chrissy Rouse, after that brave lunge, not quite able to hold the pace of this front 3 now, and Tom Neve looks very keen to ruffle the feathers of that black and gold BMW. Taylor Mackenzie just seemed to lose a bit of momentum coming out of Mansfield, just hangs on into the mountain.
Yeah, Cook's just easing away at the front there. Big wheelie there for Tom Neve. Chrissy Rouse closes the gap again.
So this is the proper cat and mouse game going on here, because we're on the 10th lap of 12, so really not long to go, and Richard Cooper's made the perfect break here.
Proper scrap, yeah, proper scrap for the second now. Taylor just getting out of Barn a little bit better there. Tom Neve with Chrissy Rouse in.
Fastest lap of the race, Richard Cooper took 1 minute 28.2. Yeah. So he took almost a second out of his pursuers on that one lap. So on to the penultimate lap then, Stock Thou, and there's 3 riders going after 2 rostrum slots here, because Cooper, looking very strong at the front, has made that break. Emily Larty, who hasn't had a really strong ride for a few rounds now, is looking good in 5th place, having got the better of Rollo on the IN competition Aprilia. Hedger, Day and Graham Irwin all in line astern. Ashley Beach right behind Irwin. Ben Godfrey, special as we see another fall and trudging off. Ben Godfrey and those 2 broken ankles are still there in 13th place in the points ahead of Teesdale and Cooper. The faller that we lost just then was the number 93 machine.
Westerdale from Sapco Westerdale Racing, GSXR 1000.
And as these big 1000cc four-cylinder bikes hum over the top of the mountain there, Tom Neve hasn't yet got that third place safe, because you just know that the tenacious Chrissy Rouse won't give up on this.
Yeah, Chrissy Rouse is hard charger from when the lights go out till the checkered flag comes out.
Here we go then, as we surge down across onto the final lap, and the gap to the leader, Cooper, has pulled the pin. He's got 1.9 seconds advantage now over his championship rivals. Who's going to get the better of whom as they go into the final and out into the country? Those two in second and third grab a big advantage on Rouse through that quicker section, and Chrissy's not going to be close enough for that outbreaking manoeuvre this time. Taylor Mackenzie keeps centre of track initially to discourage any lunge.
Any shenanigans from the rear tailor, using all the track there and a little bit of the grass. That was a bit of a worry. Tom Neve thinking about a lunge down the inside. That's tricky. It's so fast around there, over 100 miles an hour as they head into the right, then flick left down to Mansfield.
He was thinking about Mansfield. I did think he had it on he was looking strong on the brakes, and he's now, I thought for a moment he might try and snap through at the chicane. That would be a block pass, but if he's going to do anything now, it needs to be a block pass, and he's got Chrissy Rouse to contend with. Rouse is good on the Nadgery stuff. This is where he closes the gap, Neil.
Well, Chrissy Rouse won't rule out a pass maybe into the hairpin.
He's done naughty stuff like that before, and blotted his copybook, hasn't he? Oh dear. Here we go, folks. This is the final opportunity for anything to happen, but no one's quite close enough to take a dig. Oh, in fact, Rouse loses drive coming out of the hairpin. Meanwhile, ahead of them, Build-Based Suzuki and Richard Cooper are going to win again. Cooper wins it. Second place does go to Taylor Mackenzie. A wheeling triumph at Tom Neve. Hangs on to third place ahead of Chrissy Rouse, and then Larty, Rollo, Tim Neve, Hedger cross the line, followed by Levi Day, and Graham Irwin gets that Tom 10 finish for 109, Team 109 Kawasaki. Brilliant ride by the Ulsterman, and a terrific race by Richard Cooper. Well, he just turned the tap in that last 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, great ride from Richard Cooper. With a follow there at the end.
Oh, Sam Cox.
Sam Cox.
On the final lap, Cox goes down, but your race winner then, Richard Cooper, Build-Based Suzuki, extends his championship lead. Richard Cooper, a former winner here at Cadwell Park, takes the win again. And this is a nasty fall there for Sam Cox. Went down heavily just as he straightened up and hit the brakes for the hairpin. Fortunately, he gets a bit winded, but gets himself back up, and he'll get his breath back in a few moments, we hope. Sam Cox from Hackney in East London, getting checked out by the paramedics, bless them. So let's check out the results then of the Cadwell Park round of the Superstock 1000 National Championship, as Richard Cooper waves to the enormous crowds here. The results of the Pirelli National Superstock 1000 Championship: Richard Cooper, Build-Based Suzuki, wins it eventually by 2.5 seconds from a strenuous contest between Taylor Mackenzie and Tom Neve. The Honda finally gets onto the rostrum ahead of Chrissy Rouse's Morello Racing Kawasaki. Emilio Larty in 5th, Luis Rollo's Iron Aprilia in 6th. Tim Neve on the second Morello Racing Kawasaki in 7th, ahead of Luke Hedger, Levi Day, and a terrific top 10 appearance for Graham Irwin in his debut season as a road racer. Joe Collier is in 11th place for the CPD Racing Kawasaki team, ahead of Ashley Beach, Teasdale, and Ben Godfrey gets nudged back to 14th. But what a great ride by the man on the Jones Doling Suzuki, ahead of Dan Cooper's BMW in the points with those two busted ankles. Richard Cooper has re-extended his lead in the championship to 35.5 points over Taylor Mackenzie. Lee Jackson remains in 3rd place by a narrowing margin, having failed to finish that race. Alex Olsen wasn't taking part, he remains 4th. Tom Neve is in 5th, ahead of Luis Rollo. Chrissy Rouse in 7th, ahead of Larty, Luke Hedger, and Levi Day in 10th.